curtain call in the sense that he's our 2013 Outstanding Citizen, and Dan was honored to escort the governor. That is worthy of applause. So here's part of the story. This time last year, I told the governor we're going to launch the Imagination Library in our three-county area, exacting the Western Missaukee ISD footprint. And I can proudly tell you, since June 1, we now have 1,400 kids receiving free books from birth to 5 every month, their name, their gift, and the generosity of the business community. But the easiest job I ever had was I was asked to find a champion. My first ask was Dan Miner. Dan got us going. Imagination Library is up and running 10 months later. We want 3,000 kids signed up, help spread the word. We've got a lot of community organizations attached to this. But Governor, we're with you in early childhood. We got to lead. Business has to lead. Dan, thanks for being our champion. John McLeod's got another role today. He's going to introduce the governor, and I thought that appropriate. John's going to retire this year, if you did not know that, in the short term. So John, our present to you on chamber staff, 3 things. More time with your great wife, Frida, sitting down here. We also want more time with the grandkids, right? And I know you want a lot more time on the golf course, so we'll wish you well with that. Governor, yes. We'll talk Christie Hospital. It's a great story. Governor, thank you again for the commitment. I know you have a full day, but thank you for always keeping Cadillac on the map. I know you're very familiar with this, so thank you. I'll say this to my chamber brethren. You'll never do better than when you have a John Kaplan on your board of directors, and he serves our chair. John's going to be retiring from the board in a couple of months. But John's also a past outstanding citizen, and he couldn't be a better friend and a better business mentor. John, thanks for being here. The other smart thing I did in the last year is making sure Vicki Essemacher escorted the governor, because we couldn't count on Dan doing it effectively, but he did okay. Vicki's our 2013 Spirit of Community, which is hinged on volunteerism. Vicki had a great vision. The last 2 years, we had the Seward traveling sculptures, and it lit just an excitement in our community internally and externally, and Vicki obviously is attached to a lot of other volunteerism, so Vicki, we're honored to have you here today. One of the things I like to do is acknowledge down here at the table some invited guests and some lawmakers, and recognizing that session is on vacation, but we still have some dedicated people. And I want to start on the federal side. It's really important because we've had great attachment to Carl Levin's office. Senator has been at Cadillac frequently. He's been in our building frequently. Couldn't happen without a great friend, Gabe Snyder of Senator Levin's office. Gabe? And best wishes in that next step, Gabe, because it's important to keep you in northern Michigan. Just as important, a great friend, very connected to this chamber, Senator Stabenow, has always a standing meeting with this chamber. Please welcome Brandon Fewens. Two years ago, Congressman Camp was here for the first time in a long time, and the governor and the congressman and some of us had a post-meeting. And the congressman kept talking about the breakfast, not business, how much he loved this event. And I know the congressman wanted to be here today, couldn't keep it on his calendar. And of course, with the recent news, we wish Dave would be with us, but really happy to have two great friends. Start with the Michigan director, Ryan Tarrant. Would you stand, please, Ryan? And from the local office, a great friend, Sharon Wise of Congressman Camp's office. Senator Boer couldn't be with us, but I always tell the Chief of Staff, that's okay, because we've got a Chief of Staff extraordinary. Patrick Teague of Senator Boer's office, please. A little explanation on this one. Our alliance, and I'm going to allude to it, includes Alpena and Gaylord. Back in January, I asked Senator Molinar, you represent two of our brethren. I want you at our breakfast. And pleased to have Senator John Molinar with us today. John, please stand. It's possible Cadillac might be more important to you now, but that's good, John. To the west, and I'm pleased to have from the House the 101st Representative Ray Franz. I'm going to switch protocol and we'll talk about the friend first. Long time, Phil Potvin has supported this chamber and this community, continues to support the chamber long before me, wearing his most important hat today from the 102nd and Cadillac Zone, Representative Phil Potvin. To the east and representing the 103rd House District, which includes Missaukee County East, Representative Bruce Rendon. Governor, I have to tell you, you have a great staff to work with and part of this event. And Dave Nyberg, who's probably floating around, Northern Directors housed in Marquette. Dave, if you're around, wave, or we'll just say thanks for being here, Dave. And spends a lot of time, even though with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, a lot of time in the Cadillac area. The governor's aware of a lot of the job expansion and good work, and we've had great connection with the MEDC. And so my friend Tina Brighto, if you would please. And lastly, we have a great alliance with the Northwest Council of Governments, and can't list everybody, but I know CEO Elaine Wood is here. Is Elaine here? There he is. Thank you, Elaine. And it's always a pleasure when you can talk about your peers. I wish I could be good as these. And one of my go-to people, and really my go-to people, is Mary Carroll, who's the director of the Benzie County Chamber and part of our alliance. The Kingfish, as I call him, who is, which elicits laughs at those that know that I call him the Kingfish, but nobody better. President and CEO of the Traverse City Area Chamber is Doug Luciani. And our Director of Government Relations, and he has 8 bosses, Kent Wood. Just a few other things, and this is for the backside of the room. You'll see, and every year we'll have 30 plus sponsors. We actually have to cut it off because of the business support. Backside of the room needs to know thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs are represented here. They're supporting us, they're supporting the great event, they're supporting you. Get to know them. What I would tell you, and I know the governor could do it more articulately, is there is opportunity in Northern Michigan. These are great employers. Think about Northern Michigan. Think about the Cadillac area. We need to keep you here. Think about it. So don't let anybody in your building, your neighborhood, or your house tell you there's no opportunity in the Cadillac area. Talk to these people. Okay? It's very important, students. And this governor will make sure we keep you here. So let's do that. Okay. A couple other acknowledgments. I want to thank our Ambassador Club, which is expertly led by Doreen of our staff. Worked unbelievably hard for this event. It's professionals in the blue-collar world that spend hours and hours understanding to take a footprint of a civic arena and just build an event around it. This stuff just doesn't happen. Our ambassadors are everywhere, serving coffee, working hard, standing. Some of them are in the back room. Please, because they're with us 52 weeks of the year, and we can't survive without great volunteerism. Please, our Cadillac ambassadors, if you'd give them some applause. Our 2014 Cadillac leadership class is here. They're volunteering, but what I want to mention, with an extraordinary partnership with the City of Cadillac, the governor every year, our leadership class has a community service component. It's been eminently successful for 2 decades. Sometimes it's brick and mortar. It is this year. Soon, our lakefront, beautiful Lake Cadillac, will have a handicap-accessible playscape, and it will be ADA compliant. The city had the vision to do it. Leadership's the frosting on the cake. Raised money, great business support in the community, including some people at this table. And soon, on our beautiful lakeshore, there will be a segment of the population that can play and laugh with family and friends. And thanks to Cadillac leadership, the City of Cadillac, and a lot of you in the room that are going to support that. So look forward to that very soon. And that's worth applause, incidentally. It's about collaboration, it's about community, and that's evident of that. We've been lost. I'm going to sing all Cadillac area public schools. Joanne Spry, superintendent. We got to build this thing. We do it with a lot of CAPS resources. They're so cool. They're so accommodating. Joe, I can't thank you enough. Joe and I often talk Viking football and basketball, but important to know we've got a great school district here, and the superintendent, to all your support staff and some of the principals here. Thank you. You've been really, really helpful today, so thank you. Part of the mad scientist of this is part pep rally, and we couldn't do better without Mr. Filkins and the Cadillac High School band. Most of them are in the back. They got here early, they got it rocking, got the energy going, so give them a big hand. So thank you, Mr. Filkins. You know, it's never bipartisan with a band. Everybody applauds the band. That part's easy. Our Western Misaki Career Technical Center. Rare for anybody in my ilk to say that. A governor knows our CTC better than our chamber, but he does. And visiting, and it's a very cool thing. The governor's aware, and if you're not aware, with a lot of thoughtfulness, we incorporate hospitality, retailing, and entrepreneurship into this program. Kids are here doing food prep yesterday. Some of them are today. Public safety, you may have noticed them out there. We do that by design, part of the CTC. Agri-science, how cool. Take a look at those polls, which were made by the MedFab group. Look at the agri-science. Look at those Michigan. That's pretty cool. And that's all done on our behalf and part of the community. And digital media. It's really cool that we have some kids actually job shadowing. We had to show up very early today. And thanks to 9 and 10 News and 7 and 4 and My 26, and it's not fluff stuff, they're there to work. So it's by design, and recently, and it seems pretty often, the governor had awarded our CTC the Create Award. And when I talked to Mr. Cox, who's the director, and it was for the STEM Camp for Girls. And the governor's very aware of the STEM Camp for Girls and mentoring that the CTC says. And I'm going, you know, chamber president, science, technology, math. Okay, what do I know about this? And then I find out the girls, and the governor presented, they built a small submarine. So there you go. Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, they launched the small submarine. So Governor, I know their kids were very proud, and that was very cool for you to do. Okay, also, I'm going to single out one school, because it's the only school I spent a lot of time in. It's Cadillac High School. And I want to, yeah, you're going to get another shout out. We asked those kids to do the infrastructure, the pickup, the cleanup, everything here. We start with the shell, the Cooley High kids, and I'm over there about once a week, and with a great leadership, Mr. Champion, the principal, Patty Gallup, Mike McLaren. I would tell the business community, if you want to see the best of education, go check out the instructors and the love and the care that you see at Cooley High School, and I'm very, very impressed with that. So if all of you would thank, because there are worker bees, and there's only a handful of them here today, but thank Cooley High School. Okay, we're going to do a little pep rally here before I conclude. We always want to acknowledge the schools, and I think it's pretty important to do that. So if the schools are paying attention, make some noise, let the governor know you're around. And so who knows how we're going to draw this order. And typically I'll forget 2 schools, and then we'll go from there, but hopefully not. So I want to acknowledge kids out in Osceola County, Pine River kids. There you go. Go Bucks. Can't forget those comments from NMC, Northern Michigan Christian. Well, I know McBain High is not subdued, so let's hear it, McBain High. See? Probably won't be outdone by Marion, though, the Eagles. There you go. And in Wexford County, Manton High. Yeah! See, those Rangers are paying attention. Lake City High. Cadillac High, the Vikings, and Cadillac Heritage Christian. Part of this is not all enrollments are equitable in this case, but they're all important. So, it's my pleasure to introduce John McLeod. And of course I know John, and I should have said, where's those P6 Bulldogs? As I told my chamber brethren, if you don't have John Catlin in your world, you're out of luck. He's perfect. You should hire him, Governor. He's a great safety net. But not till he's done with us. It's a real pleasure to introduce John McLeod and do the introduction. I'm not from here. When I moved here, frankly, the hospital didn't have the greatest reception. Might have not been fair, but it wasn't where it should have been. John's all about the team. But here's what Mercy has done under John's tutelage, and remember, John's retiring this year, so let's give him a great send-off. 3 top 100 hospital recognitions. Okay, remember, when I first moved here, people were choosing not to go to Mercy Hospital. 3 top 100s. 3 most wired, that's a good thing. It's on technical records. And a lot of government awards for quality care, you know, John, and too many to list. But John, thanks for the improved reputation. You deserve the retirement because it took a leader with all that team. And I know this governor can understand that. John, thank you. We've got an incredible hospital, we've got an incredible community, but we can't do it without a great hospital. So John, you're up.
Thanks very much, Bill. It's certainly my honor this morning to introduce Governor Snyder. It is certainly an honor. This is a gentleman that has really turned this state around. And I want to tell you a few things. Most of you will probably know this, but Rick Snyder became Michigan's 48th governor when he was sworn into office on January 1st, 2011. In his inaugural address, he described his vision for reinventing Michigan by creating more and better jobs, revitalizing the educational system, and revamping government to focus on providing excellent service to its customers, the state's 10 million people. With the state's people and economy struggling, Snyder infused his administration with a sense of urgency, saying he wanted to accomplish 4 years of policy reforms in his first year, and then maintain that pace. He describes his approach as relentless positive action. That means solve a problem with no credit or blame and then move on to the next one. Bringing that business executive's approach to government has produced impressive results. With Snyder's leadership, the state has eliminated its $1.5 billion structural deficit and produced 3 balanced budgets without any accounting gimmicks. The state's rainy day fund has gone from nearly zero to a balance of more than $500 million. The state also has repealed the job-killing Michigan business tax and replaced it with a corporate income tax that reduced the state burden tax on job providers by at least 80%. We were talking about that up here this morning, about how that makes us more competitive and gives us the opportunity to bring in even more jobs. The governor has also led efforts to secure pensions and retirement benefits for state employees and teachers while reducing long-term costs to taxpayers, and boosted state funding for K-12 education by nearly $1 billion, or an average of $632 per pupil. Early childhood education is a priority for the governor, and he's implementing a plan to eliminate need as a barrier to attending preschool by 2015. Snyder's reinvention of Michigan is working and making a difference in the lives of people across the state. Michigan's economy is at a 10-year high, and more than 200,000 private sector jobs have been created in the state during the governor's tenure. Plus, personal income and home values are on the rise. Most important is the renewed optimism in Michigan and growing agreement with the governor's view that the state, people, and businesses can build a better future by working together, the team approach. At our local level, I think the governor will be interested in learning more about some of our partnerships. The Cadillac Leadership Group, the Cadillac Aerial Industrial Group, and the Northern Michigan Chamber Alliance are all great examples of collaboration among chamber members to improve our community. I am also proud of the unique partnership between our Career Technical Center and Mercy Hospital. You may not know, but the school moved its entire health careers program into the hospital, so that the students now literally spend the day inside our hospital working and job shadowing and learning about healthcare careers. What a great way for high school students to be introduced to healthcare careers. I also want to take this opportunity to publicly thank Governor Snyder for his support of the Healthy Michigan Plan. It started on April 1st, and it's already providing healthcare insurance to approximately 300,000 working, low-income Michigan residents that in the past have not been able to afford insurance. Please join me in giving Governor Rick Snyder a rousing Cadillac welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you. It's great to be with you again. This is a fabulous event. I'm very proud to be back. Actually, I was counting that this is the 37th annual breakfast. And believe it or not, this is my 4th year, so I'm over 10% of your breakfasts. It's starting to make me feel old. But it's great to be back. And John, thank you so much for that introduction. And you're the best of you on your retirement. But thank you for all the great work you and your institution have been doing in this community. And thank you for your support on Healthy Michigan. We've signed up nearly 100,000 individuals already, hardworking but lower income Michiganders. And they're already receiving health care benefits because of that kind of partnership we can put together in the state. Bill, I want to thank the Chamber for creating this event, and all the community members, all the award winners, for all the hard work that go into making this happen, because it's unique across Michigan. There's a reason I'm here. There are not breakfast opportunities like this going across the state. And what really makes this special, in my view, is the Chamber, the business community, the whole community reaching out to our young people. That's what makes it truly special, is to have the opportunity to have all these fine young people here and an opportunity to interact with the business community, and understand the opportunities for the long-term future. So I want to thank all of you for your sponsorship, your support to make sure we keep these young people coming year after year to a great event like this. So that's what makes it exciting. Well, let me get started on some comments. And obviously I'm going to cover primarily the state of Michigan. But to start, I thought I'd make sure there's a point you may not think about very often. Cadillac, this area, is Michigan. And you know that as Michiganders. But the part you may not recognize is the profile of this community, in many respects, is a great representation of the entire state. One thing you should be proud of is this is truly a manufacturing center within our state. And the role that manufacturing plays in this area is representative of the role it plays in the entire state of Michigan. The second thing is agriculture. There's a strong ag community here. And when you look at the state of Michigan, we don't talk about it enough, but the ag community is absolutely critically important and made the difference in the last decade in terms of keeping Michigan going. The third piece is tourism, in terms of what a beautiful area. Like Cadillac, all the great opportunities here. Hopefully you appreciate those Pure Michigan commercials and smile when you see them, because we have the best campaign in the country, and it is working, and only growing. So quite often when I give talks about Michigan, I'll talk about the big three: manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. If you look at this area, you're a great representation of what the entire state is, and you should be proud. So as you run across issues and think about issues, it equally applies to all of us, all 10 million of us. And so, in terms of my comments are really geared at those big three industries, in terms of looking at our opportunities, because we have great opportunities, and we have a very bright future ahead of us. And to put things in context, when I first came to my first breakfast, we had a lot of work to be done in terms of bringing our state back. If you go back to 2009, if you go back to the lost decade, we've become a broken state. And where are we today? I can stand here with pride and tell you we're the comeback state. We have come back more than any other state from the Great Recession. We're number one in that, and we should be proud. In terms of the simple numbers, we had over 14% unemployment in 2009. Just in the last 3 years, we've created over 250,000 private sector jobs in our state. That's a huge accomplishment. And these are good, well-paying jobs. We rank number 4 in high-paying jobs. Number 6 in medium-paying jobs. So these are great economic opportunities for people. In terms of personal income, believe it or not, we dropped from being ranked 17th before the turn of the century. Out of the 50 states in income levels, we've dropped to 38th. It's one of the greatest drops in the history of the United States in terms of personal income drop in a 10-year period or a 12-year period. The good part is we're coming back there. Last year we ranked 9th fastest in per capita growth in the United States. That's the kind of results we need to show. But what I can tell you is Now is not the time to be content nor complacent about what's been accomplished. In fact, it should very much be the opposite. Now is the time to stay on the gas and to push that accelerator even harder and faster. Because the opportunity there is to do even better. And that's exciting. And so there are a few issues I'd like to share with you. One, in terms of what has really helped catalyze this transformation, this reinvention of Michigan. And then secondly, to talk about some key programs. First of all, some of the things we're doing in the public sector, in state government, that I think really needed to happen. First, there's a question, and I hope the young people can appreciate this question, and I hope you might go back to your school and talk about this question. When I became governor and got into office, one of the things that I really found is people didn't talk about solving problems. They talked about money all the time. The whole discussion was about money. So the question I put on the table first is, why does government exist? When was the last time people had a thoughtful discussion about why does government actually exist? It's about time we have that discussion. And the reason government exists, it's not there to take and spend money. It's there to give great service, to recognize we're a service organization. And I wake up every day saying I have 10 million customers, the citizens of our state and the organizations in our state. And you deserve efficient, effective, and accountable government. You deserve that service. And that's what we're delivering. The second thing is one of the key things that was mentioned, I appreciate it, John, was about more and better jobs. It was to recognize that we're a service provider, but we don't create those jobs in government. Our job is to create the environment for success, to make it so free enterprise can work, so people can go out and create those jobs. The last thing you'd ever want to see is all of us working for the state of Michigan, believe me. So we're creating that environment by tax reform, regulatory reform, and I'll talk about some of the things in a couple minutes about the programs. One of the other things, though, we really need to do is how we do things. And many of us can remember the old days in Michigan. How much time did we spend just fighting with one another? Or blaming us? Saying there's some big problem and somebody's responsible for it. They need to be blamed. Have you ever seen a problem get solved because of fighting or blame? It's a waste of time. Just look at the challenge in Washington we see today. Think about what Washington would be like today if they would agree there would be no fighting, no blame, or no credit. A whole lot would get done. Well, that's what we focused on here. Relentless positive action. I've not fought with anyone, I've not blamed anyone, I don't worry about credit. The issue is, what's the problem? Let's use some common sense. Let's solve the problem, and let's be relentless in the pursuit of solutions. And if it doesn't all work the first time, let's come back and do it again. And keep going until we do so. And that makes a difference, folks. We're spending energy on solutions, helping one another, doing what we agree on, and not wasting time. And things that don't benefit anyone. That's the right approach. And we need to keep that up. Now let me talk about some of the exciting priorities I see out in the future. Because our brightest days are ahead of us. Think about how much better off we are today and say that opportunity is only better going forward. And longer term, it's even better for these outstanding young people. There are 4 things I'll share with you. First of all, in terms of priorities going ahead, it's interesting. Back in 2009 and 2010, I ran on more and better jobs and a future for our kids. What are 2 key issues today? More and better jobs and a future for our kids. Because the point is, we're not done. And those are the most important things to work on. So jobs. And we can do this in an innovative fashion. One program I'm really proud of is we sort of said, let's get out of that tax credit business, because I don't believe in buying companies into our state with huge tax credit packages. The right way to do it is how we grow businesses already here. To start with, economic gardening. So one of the things we created was Pure Michigan Business Connect. A good neighbor policy. We don't give out dollars as part of that, but what we do is we help connect people. We help connect neighbors and people across Michigan. Who can be a supplier, who can be a customer, how they can work together. Sounds really simple. Does it work, you might wonder? It works. In the last 3 years, I can tell you, over $1.6 billion additional business has been sold in the state of Michigan because of this program. That's roughly 8,000 jobs right there. And it's great to see some of the success going on in this community with rec codes, Avon products. Congratulations to your hard work in terms of building jobs and bringing jobs to this area. We're keeping that. And we can have more people join. So those of you that are not part of Pure Michigan Business Connect, sign up. Second item, education. And it's great to have the young people here on that topic. It's about developing a P20 educational system, prenatal through lifelong learning, making it much more seamless, easier for people to get through the system, having better opportunity. One of the things I am proud of is investing in preschool, early childhood education. And why do I say that? Last fall, I had an educator come up to me and say, in a kindergarten class, they had 2 new kids come in, and none of them could name a color. Think about that. What do you think their lifelong opportunities are if you show up in kindergarten and can't name a color? That's not right. There are people that didn't have opportunity because of need. So that's why we made that commitment last year, and we're making it this year, I hope, with the support of some outstanding legislators that are here with us today, that we'll approve that budget to make Michigan a no-waste state for early childhood education. What a great opportunity. And what a difference that'll make. It may not show up in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, but how about in the next 50 years? In terms of really changing Michigan for the better by doing that. Another thing we can do is dual enrollment, going to the other end of the spectrum. College is too expensive, and we're working on a lot of things to manage that cost, to make it more affordable. But one of the easiest ones we can jump on is, can we create situations where you can get college credit while you're still going to high school? If you can get a year of college done while you're in high school, how much have you saved on college? For a bachelor's degree, it's easy math, 25%. An associate's degree, it's 50%. Can it be done? Obviously it can be done. I did it 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It's doable. Let's do more. One thing you should be really proud of, though, is your Career Tech Center. And I appreciate Bill's comment. I love your Career Tech Center. It's one of the, you have a few stories when you're governor that are the most memorable, that really influence how you view the world. And a visit I had to your Career Tech Center was one of those visits. It was one of the coolest trips I still talk about. I had an opportunity to go visit the welding program. And what made it so special is, and this was a setup, they set me up. They wanted to really show me something special. So I give you credit for good marketing. Is I got there, and it wasn't about a regular day at the welding program. They had invited in 6th grade girls as part of this program to talk about STEM. And I go on this program, and there's 6th grade girls with the aprons on, the welding mask, the whole works. And they were there, they were actually welding little Michigans with a Star Wars Cadillac is to take home to their parents. I thought that was awesome marketing. So I went up to the girls, and they raised their mask, and I said, what do you think about this? Oh, it's awesome. We want to be welders. And isn't that a great message? Now, when you're in 6th grade, you may want to be something else the next day, or the day after. But I thought it was fabulous to actually have it so they could appreciate what an honorable career, what an opportunity, that there are jobs. It's something you can enjoy and make a difference in people's lives. That was one of the most memorable moments I've had as being governor. And I can tell you, I've told that story not just here in Cadillac, I've told it around the world about that being the right thing to do. And that gets to a couple other points. The third point I'm going to share with you is a new point in many respects. I've been working on it for 3 years, but it emphasizes what I believe is a top priority for the future years, and that's career tech education. We've messed up in our country, if you think about it. When many of us were young, back when I was in high school, and I see a few people that are in the same profile, quite often we called it co-ed. And how did it work for most of us? You went to high school with everybody in the morning, and then in the afternoon, about half the class would go off to the vocational programs. The rest of us would stay, but in the evening we all got back together. We did band together, we did sports together, we did all these events together, and nobody thought anything of it because it all worked and we were all proud of one another. So what have we done over the last 2 or 3 decades is we did something that was smart, is we emphasized the greater need for a university degree. And we absolutely need to keep that up. We should not change that at all. But what we messed up on is we didn't equally emphasize the importance of career tech education. Right now today, I can tell you why we still have too many people looking for work. There are 70,000 open jobs in Michigan. Good, well-paying jobs. And to be blunt, that number is understated. And I've talked to companies. They'll put one posting up that they're not filling. What they're not telling us is they probably would hire 4 or 5 people because the business is there. And what are these jobs? These are skilled trades jobs. The welder position, the electrician, the plumber. But also the part we need to redefine is what a skilled trade is. If you're working in a manufacturing facility today, most likely you're a skilled trades person. The person running that piece of robotic equipment, that piece of machinery, you have to have those skills. The other one that I'll emphasize that many of you probably have never thought about. If you're in agriculture today, you're a skilled tradesperson. If you're driving a $250,000 tractor, a $500,000 combine, you're a skilled tradesperson. There's no doubt about it. And the issue is we've not created an environment with parents and young people or people looking for that next career where they understand that these are outstanding career opportunities. These are jobs that can pay $50,000 to $80,000. They can pay more than $100,000 a year. That's why this is how we solve our income issues in this country, is by creating the opportunity to have these skilled trade positions that exist. So we have a huge marketing issue to communicate that. And then we have to be there to provide the programs, to create the opportunities, like the Career Tech Center does, and grow those programs for access. One program we have created, I brought it back from Germany a couple years ago. Because if you look across the world, the place that does this best in the world is probably Germany, with their apprenticeship programs. Well, we brought that back to Michigan, and we're doing it today at Henry Ford Community College and Oakland Community College. It's called MAT Squared, Michigan Advanced Technician Training. It's in a field called mechatronics. Now, if I took a poll, I don't think I'd get a lot of hands going up to say you're familiar with mechatronics. But what is it? It's mechanics, electrical stuff, and electronics combined. These are the people running those robotic pieces of equipment, or that automated line. And these are good, well-paying jobs. And there are a lot of openings. And how does the program work? A sponsoring company comes, hires that person to go into the program. They're working. They're also going to school. They're alternating between work and school. The company is paying for their schooling. After 3 years, they come out with an associate's degree with no debt for school because the company paid for it. They have a work commitment for 2 years, but they have a guaranteed job. Isn't that a cool opportunity? We're doing it in one field today. Next year, we've already announced we're going to add industrial design and IT. I've already had the auto dealers come and tell me they want to do auto mechanics, auto technicians, because they can't find enough of them. Again, $80,000 jobs open. We can do this with bachelor's degrees. This is the kind of exciting opportunity we have in Michigan. The rest of the country is still not on board with this. This is a strategic advantage to our state. The state that leads on this topic is going to have a fundamental advantage in terms of job creation for 5 to 10 years. And my full intention is to make sure Michigan is #1. And I need your support on that. But think about that opportunity. It's outstanding. And you're already at the forefront with the CTC and the other work you're doing. And the employer base you have. Sign up. Let's go. The last point I'll leave you is a long-term one. It's about good government. You heard about how we balance budgets now. There's a novel idea in the public sector. I'm really proud of that. It's a great partnership. We're getting the job done. It's about being financially responsible. How do we do that? I can tell you how I do it from my perspective. I don't think about it as politics. Again, it's not about politics. I literally pretend I'm sitting at the kitchen table with my family of 10 million people. Isn't that the best way to do it? To say, we're one big family here. And to say, let's get that pile of bills. Bring all those bills in so we can sit down and go through them. And when you do that at home, what do? You make sure you pay your mortgage. You make sure you pay your car payment. You say, hey, I've got other things I need to pay for. If I have some money left, what do I need to save? The rainy day fund. Where do I make smart investments? How can I actually give dollars back when I can to other people? That's the way to do it. And that's what's working. And one of the key things that stands out besides having a balanced budget is, and this is a question we should be asking every public official, is go ask the public officials to say, how much debt do we have? How much long-term debt do we have? And can you tell me when we're going to have it paid off? Think about the mess in Washington again. They don't have an answer. Well, if you ask me that question, I can answer those questions. And the fun way I do it is I actually come up with a good story for you. And the young people may want to listen to this because it's an opportunity for one of you or more of you. If you want a really cool job in Michigan, you should run for governor in 2038. That's when you want to be governor because our mortgage would be paid down. Isn't it cool to be able to say that? Isn't that the responsible answer? That's what we're doing in Michigan. And that just creates a brighter framework for an even better future for all of us. And so that's why I'm excited to be with you. That's why it's an honor being your governor, and that's why I'm fired up to keep going. Because we're just getting there now. We've come back this far, but let's stay on the gas. And here in Cadillac, in your whole area, you have a great role in the leadership of that. You're doing that, but the thing I need to ask you is to be louder and prouder. We have a problem as Michiganders. We're too humble. How many times have you seen great things go on? You might have done something great, and you don't want to tell anyone. Well, it's great being humble. It's also not real bright sometimes. Because if we don't tell people how great we're doing, is anyone else going to do it for us? So I need to actually ask each and every one of you, just like Bill talked about the Cadillac ambassadors, I need you to be a bigger ambassador for this area and for the state of Michigan. To talk about the opportunities, the successes we're having, how we're coming back. And again, be honest about it to say we still have significant issues we have to address. It's not about making up fantasy land, but realistically, we're doing fabulous things, and let's be proud and loud and continue on the path of success with remembering we're doing it as Michiganders. Not as members of a party, not as being on the left or right, not as being divided in some fashion. Whether you're in a city, county, this part of Michigan or that part of Michigan, the label that really matters, let's stand up and be loud and proud as Michiganders. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. I think we're going to do some questions. Appreciate that.
This is working? All right.
I hear myself.
You sound good.
Thank you. Good morning, Governor. I'm Kyle Paddock. I'm a senior from Manton High School, and I have a question for you. I'm graduating at the top of my class, and I really enjoy the academic portion of school. The state accountability and accountability and funding has made activities and creativity and classes a little bit difficult. My question is, how for poorer schools, smaller schools, are we going to make it easier to get the creativity in classes?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because some districts are having real challenges. But it's really a function of, that's been a problem that's been going on for a decade or two. And what we're doing is we're getting out of that hole over the next few years. And that's why I have been so firm about investing more in K-12 education. Over the last 3 years, we've invested over $1.2 billion more than previously had been put in K-12 education with state dollars. The proposed budget I put out is $1 billion higher than the year I took office. And part of the issue that we're still struggling through is we weren't properly funding the retirement for over 450,000 teachers and educators in our state. And that's a responsibility of the local districts to pay that cost. But the problem was they weren't going to have the money to do it. So we're putting more money in education. You might hear how the state's actually directing a lot of it towards that fund. But let me ask you this question. If you have a mortgage, and I come help give you $100 to pay your mortgage, that frees up $100 for you to decide where you want to put that money. And so it's really a local decision to decide where you budget your dollars. We're providing additional resources. We're actually asking for more accountability and responsibility, and we should. And we're going to continue on that path. And what I would say is when you have a deep hole that had been dug for the last 20 or 30 years of people not responsibly funding things, it takes a while to get out. And what I would say is I see probably another year or so that can be difficult, but then we actually have some real bright future ahead of us in terms of a lot more resources for education. Because again, I believe in all those things. I'm an old sax player, so being in the band was a big deal to me back when I was in high school, so I appreciate that. So thank you for your question.
Good morning, Governor. I'm Logan Lyons from Lake City High School. I'm a junior this year. With technology being essential in the workforce, what are you doing to increase accessibility of it in the classroom?
Yeah, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've actually set aside specific resources for technology. And I'm talking significant resources in the $50 to $80 million a year range. Because occasionally in the budget processes we've come back, we've had one-time dollars. Not dollars that were ongoing every year, but fortunately we've had that one-time pot more than once. And so I really looked at technology, and I've had strong support from legislators to say, let's invest in technology. So we are putting dollars available, and again, the decision on how it gets deployed is largely a local decision. But it is important we continue to invest in technology. In the long term, it's going to be extremely bright future, because again, it's going to have to get integrated more and more in the classroom, because again, you're living your life on technology. I bet that cell phone gets a lot of use in terms of texting and such. I mean, I come to the point occasionally when I'm in the car with my daughter, my youngest, who's a senior in high school, neither one of us are driving, but if I want to talk to her, I'll text her first in the vehicle. So we are investing in technology, and that needs to continue, and I'm proud of that because I'm an old tech guy. So thank you.
Good morning, Governor. I'm Michaela Copeland. I'm a freshman at McBain Public. What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing teachers in today's classroom?
Yeah, in terms of teachers having challenges, I think there's an opportunity that you're going to see a real evolution in the role of teachers, and teachers are critically important. It's really important to have inspired, excited teachers that are really making a difference in young people's lives, because they really do make an impact, and they made an impact on my life. And we need to create that environment where we empower teachers more. So one of the things we're working on are how to do teacher effectiveness better. When I say that, it's not about grading them, it's about giving them the resources and tools to be more successful. One thing I'd like to see, and I've advocated for this, but we still haven't really put it in place the way I'd like, is the concept of even a master teacher category. Because sometimes, if you think about it, teachers sometimes look at a career path where they end up going into being a principal or an administrative function, And quite often they got the job because they were the best teacher. And now we make them an administrator. I think we can do a better job of creating an environment to say, how can you keep them teaching, but help them help this teacher effectiveness, helping teach other teachers and coach them on being more successful. So those are the kind of opportunities we really should be looking at and how to do that. The other one is transitioning the classroom to more student-centered learning. Again, allowing a teacher, instead of feeling they have to keep the classroom at the same pace all the time, is make it so they can actually allow kids to go at different paces. Some kids can go much faster. Some kids need more time on the topic. But how can other kids help one another, and how can the teacher then move to being the coach more with the resources to help them be successful? And we're actually seeing some good pilots of that go on in our schools, in K-12. We do it already in many preschools, in graduate schools. But I think there's an opportunity to have people that want to innovate, try new ideas, do it more in the educational system. And I think that empowers teachers even more.
Good morning, Governor. I'm Mackenzie Cater, and I'm a senior at Cadillac High School. And my question for you today is, what is being done by the state to provide equitable funding for the Northern Michigan public schools?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Because one of the things that we are catching up on, which has been a problem. If you go back when Proposition 8 came and all that, there's a disparity in terms of the dollars per student going to each school district. And to be blunt, a lot of schools in Northern Michigan were at the lower end of that spectrum. And that's not a smart nor good answer. The issue is the dollar amounts were large enough, we couldn't solve it all overnight. And so each year, we've been working hard on, when we do our allocations of resources on a per student basis, is we've been overweighting them towards the lower end schools in terms of the dollar amounts. And when I say lower end schools, I'm talking dollars, not quality. But how do we actually start bringing those schools up and trying to close that gap of disparity? Because again, that's something that we should address. And to be open with you, that's something, if I have the opportunity to have a second term, we should actually open a broader discussion on that whole topic to say, can we accelerate closing that gap and addressing some of the other structural problems that we still have in our education funding system.
Good morning, Governor. I'm Kelly Cater, and I'm from Record Holdings, and I have a manufacturing question for you. As you know, in the manufacturing sector, we're seeing a dramatic need for a skilled workforce. And we need this workforce to support our technological advances within our companies. So, what is the state doing to support Northern Michigan employers in this training need?
Oh, we're excited, and that's a great opportunity. You heard about Math Squared. So Math Squared should be in every corner in Michigan in the next 2 or 3 years. And I believe, Bill, you guys are working at it already in terms of bringing it to this area. Because that's an outstanding program, but we're not waiting for just that. What we're actually doing now, in this year's budget, for example, I'm asking for $10 million towards skilled trade training programs. And we're talking about capital investment in community colleges, so they can have additional capital equipment, so they can have the latest equipment to do the best training. So those are the kind of investments we really need to continue to make, and it's critically important. One of the things that I would encourage you to look at is I'm going up to the Northern Lakes Alliance later. They actually have put together a mobile CNC lab, where basically they're going to have a lab they're going to be able to take around to different communities to show them some great things going on. And I think that's a concept, we'll see how it works, but that's something that should be embraced all across Michigan. Because again, sometimes the geographies make it challenging, but this is, again, let's get those tools and resources, let's explain those careers to young people and parents, let's get people signed up and go, because those jobs are there, as you know. So congratulations on the success of Records. Thank you. And to tie into that, what I would tell you is a little bit different, but the same concept, I believe, is I called for some legislation a couple years ago that I still would love to see get done. And the version I asked for, it's a little bit different, was about tours. To say, can we make it so you can be more confident? Because one of the reasons people don't open up their facility to show them is this legal liability question. So I want to see, is there a way that we could put more limits on liabilities for companies and follow some basic procedures to say you can open up your business so young people, you can have them come visit, they can walk around the facility in a thoughtful, safe way. But you would be much more open to that. And again, I'm happy to look at taking it even further in terms of the stuff you're talking about. We just need to be careful that, again, we do that right balance. But I'm very much, as you can see, in favor of that concept about how do we make it so people can feel more comfortable and confident at the same time doing it safely. Good question. The only thing I'd add is there's a sponsor in the house.
Good morning, Governor. Brian Blake, Piranha Hose Products. In August, we're going to be voting on an amendment to the personal property tax for businesses. And I was wondering if you could summarize that to the group and explain how important it is that we get that approved.
Yeah, no, great question. So in August, there will be an item on the ballot that talks about changing the allocation of use tax proceeds in our state. And it actually doesn't directly talk about personal property tax for industrial property. But let me give you quickly what has transpired. If you look at Michigan, one of the things that has made us less competitive, a competitive disadvantage, is we put an extra tax on the machinery and equipment in industrial companies, in our manufacturers. They don't pay that in most other states, in some of our surrounding states. And so we've got a disadvantage. The question was, is how do we get rid of that disadvantage? Because capital is mobile when you're talking about industrial equipment. So we wanted to see that go away. Now, I got rid of the Michigan business tax fairly quickly in partnership with my colleagues here. That was the dumbest tax in the United States. The second dumbest tax that we have in the state of Michigan is this personal property tax on industrial equipment. The challenge was, it's a revenue source for local government. So we need to be much more careful and thoughtful about how to do it, because we weren't talking about just our revenue stream. We were talking about a revenue stream for thousands of jurisdictions in our state that were in very different situations. And so that took a couple of years worth of work to figure out how to do that. So how do we figure out how to do that? And I want to compliment our Lieutenant Governor in particular, Brian Calley, who's been our point person on doing this. We got the best Lieutenant Governor in the country. Is what we said is, as I mentioned about getting out of tax credits. So what we've done is, we wiped out most of our tax credits going forward. We're the most ambitious state to say how dumb that was. So what we're doing is those tax credits roll off and disappear, and roughly it's about $500 million a year. So when you hear about me doing a budget, I start minus $500 million in the hole for money that was given away before I ever became governor. That wasn't so smart, was it? So as these tax credits disappear, we have additional revenue at the state level. And so we came up with a way where we can help provide that revenue stream to the local governments to make up for not having the personal property tax. So the beautiful answer here is this ballot proposal, when you see this on the ballot, it's about changing the use tax to actually give local jurisdictions a more stable revenue stream. It doesn't talk about companies. It's really saying, let's take part of the use tax as revenue that would normally come to the state, and let's just shift it to local government. And so the beautiful part is there's no tax increase to you. So when you see this, people may get confused and think it's about raising taxes on you. It doesn't cost you anything. So that's why a yes vote is very important. It doesn't cost taxpayers any money. It basically shifts revenue from the state government to local government to allow them to have a more stable revenue source so you can be more competitive in your local jurisdictions. It allows us to say, we're able to do that because we got out of something that was dumb and making us more competitive. It's a really cool answer. It was very complicated, but that's why I wanted to sort of walk you through the whole story, because when you walk in the ballot, it'll simply say, can we reallocate part of the use tax to local jurisdictions? All the rest is done. None of it takes place if you don't vote yes. So we need that yes vote, at no cost to you, and making us more competitive to create more and better jobs. That's pretty cool. So I hope you really get excited when you look at it, and we'll vote yes in August. So, thank you.
And we are with you. The Northern Michigan Alliance and our chamber is supportive of that ballot proposal. And please contact us for more information. A couple things, I want to come full circle. Dual enrollment is alive and well here. And thanks to Baker College and our CTC, and it escapes even our area. We're going to sit down with manufacturers next week to see if Baker College can deliver MAP 2. We need to get there. So we're going to try. We're going to work hard. We've got a lot of partners. Want to endorse, thank you for your Michigan. Got to get this early childhood thing done. Business has to do it. But thanks to all of you for the great support this morning. Thanks to the front half of the room for making this work. Students, 70,000 open jobs in this state. I think we can find one for you. I want to thank our staff because I put an enormous amount of pressure to do this event. So to Doreen and Amanda and Deb, give them a hug, give them a kiss. I'll try to make sure they get out of the office early today. So thanks to all of you.